Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. Today I will be your guide as we travel back in history to Carthage, the Punic Republic. However, before we begin, just a reminder that we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Carthage was the capital of the ancient Carthaginian civilization. The fabled city was located on the eastern side of Lake Tunis, in what is now the country of Tunisia. Carthage was the most important trading hub of the ancient Mediterranean and one of the most affluent cities of the classical world. In antiquity, Carthage was known as Cartagena, in the Phoenician language, Carthadasht, the new city. They were a Semitic and Canaanite people who saw themselves as heirs of the Phoenician commerce and trade. Carthage was built on a promontory with sea inlets to both the north and the south. The city's location made it master of the Mediterranean maritime trade. All ships crossing the sea had to pass between Sicily and the coast of Tunisia, affording Carthage great power and influence. Tradition holds that Carthage was founded by the legendary Queen Dido of Phoenicia. The Roman author Virgil contends that Queen Dido was not only beautiful, she was a clever and enterprising woman. Upon arrival on the North African coast, Dido went immediately to the Berber king Larbas and asked for a small piece of land as a temporary refuge until she could continue on with her journey. King Larbas agreed that Dido could have as much land as an ox hide could cover. Ever shrewd, Dido cut the ox hide into fine strips so that she had enough to encircle an entire nearby hill. This event is commemorated in mathematics as the isometric problem of enclosing a maximum area within a fixed boundary. In modern calculus, this is often referred to as the Dido problem. Eventually, the city grew from a Phoenician colony into the capital of a Punic empire, which dominated large parts of the southwest Mediterranean during the first millennium before the Common Era. Punic culture and agricultural sciences, when arrived at Carthage from eastern Mediterranean, gradually adapted to the local African conditions. The merchant harbor eventually brought great wealth and prosperity to Carthage and her urban centers. Such commercial growth enabled the city to develop at an astounding rate. With regard to farming, small estate owners prospered through high yields of such grains as wheat and barley. Eventually, along with trade goods, textiles, and locally produced olive oil and wine, the Carthaginian economy rivaled that of Rome. As Carthage continued to prosper and expand her colonies throughout the Mediterranean and coast of Africa, the Punic Republic became a force to be reckoned with. Such a regional influence made Carthage the only existential threat to the ever-expanding Roman Republic. As a result of Rome's expansionist attitude, combined with Carthage's proprietary approach to the island of Sicily, war broke out in 264 before the Common Era. At the start of the war, Carthage was the dominant power of the Western Mediterranean, with an extensive maritime empire, while Rome was a rapidly expanding power in Italy with a strong army. They had a weak navy. Fighting took place primarily on the island of Sicily and its surrounding waters, and also in North Africa, Corsica, and Sardinia. After 23 years of warfare, immense human and material losses on both sides, the Carthaginians were defeated. By the terms of the peace treaty, Carthage paid large reparations and Sicily was annexed as a Roman province. As tradition would have it, Hamilcar Barca, the leading Carthaginian general of the First Punic War, raised his son Hannibal to hate Rome. He made his young son swear an oath that he would not rest until Rome was destroyed, thus leading to the only inevitable outcome: war. The Second Punic War began in 218 before the Common Era and witnessed Hannibal's crossing of the Alps and invasion of mainland Italy. This expedition enjoyed considerable early success, but after 14 years, the survivors withdrew. There was also extensive fighting in Iberia, Sicily, Sardinia, and North Africa. The Romans launched attacks on several fronts in an attempt to disrupt and split the Carthaginian forces. The successful Roman invasion of the Carthaginian homeland in Africa in 204 before the Common Era led to Hannibal's recall. Now up against the Roman general Scipio, who had studied Hannibal's military tactics at length, the Carthaginians were defeated at the Battle of Zama in 202 before the Common Era. Tradition has it that the two great military commanders met before the battle, and Hannibal, realizing that he was outmanned, attempted to reach a settlement. However, it was said that Scipio promised the day would be Rome's and there would be no quarter. After Hannibal's defeat, Carthage sued for peace. A treaty was agreed upon in 201 before the Common Era, which stripped Carthage of a few African territories and all of its overseas territories. The victorious Romans imposed a huge indemnity to be paid over the next 50 years and severely restricted the size of Carthage's armed forces. Lastly, Carthage was prohibited from waging war without Rome's express permission. Thus, Carthage ceased to be a military threat. The Third Punic War broke out in 149 before the Common Era, as a result of a contrived Roman justification to launch their attack. This conflict was fought entirely on Carthage's territories in what is now modern-day Tunisia. In 146 before the Common Era, the Romans stormed the city of Carthage, sacked it, and slaughtered most of the population. Tradition has it that after the Romans had demolished the city, they sowed salt into the land to assure that Carthage would not rise again. This is the end of Part 1, Carthage, the Punic Republic. In Part 2, we will take a look at your questions and comments. Just as a reminder, we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. For your convenience, we have also posted our email address and Instagram information. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Traveler's Tales. Cartistos.